Societal pressure in marriage is a significant issue that many people face. It often involves expectations from family, friends, and society about when, how to behave in a marriage, or even who to marry, and the decision to have children. Now, this pressure can come from cultural norms, religious beliefs, and traditions, influencing individuals to conform to certain standards or timelines. Now, it can definitely lead to stress, anxiety, and feelings of inadequacy if one doesn't meet these expectations. Now, it's very important we understand that communication and setting boundaries are crucial in navigating and managing society pressures in marriage. Hello and welcome to Inside Today. I am Jumai Manson. Today we're going to be looking at pressure on marriage, what the society brings in when it comes to pressure in marriage. Don't go anywhere. Inside Today continues shortly. Stay tuned. Back, and if you're just tuning in, this is Inside Today on Global Television, and I am not doing the topic of societal pressure in marriage all alone. I'm doing it with a very interesting personality, no other person than Queen Agaba, who is here, and we're talking about it together. You know, the issues when it comes to one being single and then that pressure that comes with marriage and all of that. Hi Queen, how are you doing?
I'm fine. It's a pleasure being here.
I know when I said one being single, and then the way
I actually did roll my eyes. Like,
yes,
okay,
but it is what it is. Like, it is what it is.
It's the pressure we're talking about here.
Because
the subtle jokes when people make at people who are single, like, you know, you're single, you know, the pressures that come with being single, and they often bring it up at every conversation.
Yes, yes.
It might be subtle, but that's pressure, you know.
But really, looking at it critically, we just wonder, and we say to ourselves, if you're single, you're single. I don't have to say, accept what it is at that point.
Absolutely.
And you can actually move on to being married. Like, it happens. Like, please.
That's just on the side. I just need to put that. But we know of people who will not fail to bring it up at every point of call.
Very true.
Take, for instance, aunties, weddings,
I mentioned
birthday, and even when you post pictures and they'll be like, oh, even with this beautiful picture, there's no man in the picture and all of that. Those are precious. But that singles face. But it's good to know that there are ways to manage it and there are ways to get your mind off those pressures and just live and breathe. Because the pressures never stops.
No, they don't.
Even after you become married, you know, the phase of giving birth, some people even have the pressures where they're being told that, okay, when are you going to have more children? When are you going to give this baby another sibling, you know, and all that? The pressure never stops.
It doesn't stop. But how do you think for families, mothers who are all out when they tell you they want grandchildren and all of that at that age, how do you navigate around that? And they tell you, oh, hi. How do you think some singles should navigate around that? I don't want to use you as an example.
Okay, singles who want grandchildren, or
no, mothers who say on a lighter note, like you said, oh, when are you getting married? I really want, it's time for grandchildren, grandbabies, and all of that.
Let me establish this. When every young lady or even young man comes of age, maybe they start working or they're doing well for themselves, or even before they even get a job, they get those pressures, like, when are you going to get married? But for me, I want to be thankful for the people that are in my circle, my parents, families and friends as well. I don't get that pressure, like, okay, when are you going to get married? But I know what it's like, you know, because we see movies and we hear experiences from people who are pressured even from their fathers, who have not even come of age, say they've not gotten to, you know, that point where it now becomes a call for emergency or a cause for concern. So I'm particularly grateful to my parents who want to see me flourish, bloom, and they know that at the right time it will happen. But now the pressures, and when you're doing well for yourself, one thing that makes people get into, we're talking about people who are pressured into being in the wrong relationship, people who are pressured into being in marriage, all because of societal pressure, family pressure, pressure from peers and all of that. But let's look at the aftermath. Singles who, I say this, I don't think about, it's not like I don't want to get married, I want to get married, but you hardly find me thinking about it, contemplating about the time, contemplating about, we all desire it. That's one thing that happens when you're in love with yourself, you are in love with your being, and you're fulfilling purpose. You know that at the right time, this will come. And you are strategically positioned to get married. Yes, all of those things count as well. If you're doing the right thing, you're dressing well, you're working on yourself, you're working on your character, attitude, you're fulfilling purpose. There are other things you're engaged in. You know, certainly that there's nothing you're doing wrong that will say, okay, I'm not going out, I'm not mixing up, I'm not meeting people, I'm not serving. I'm just occupied. I'm just, you get to that point where you're preoccupied with a whole lot of meaningful things, meaningful activities that you don't even have time to be depressed about being a single person or about being single. Now, where, I'm going to allow you to say something. Where it gets very interesting and you feel the pressure is when you're not doing anything. Sometimes when you're not doing anything, I mean when you're not doing anything meaningful. Take, for instance, people who are they're doing. You see people, they say, "Oh, I'm doing everything, but I'm still depressed. I have a job. I have, you're not yet in love with yourself." And men can smell it. Men can feel it. They can smell desperation from afar. And you have to be sincerely and genuinely involved in what you love and something that is helping not just yourself, but humanity as well.
But I want to ask a question though, Queen. I've allowed you to talk about this issue. And then some people will say the reason why most women are depressed is because they do not have a man in their life. They say, I've allowed you to speak. Now it's my turn to speak, okay? And then, the thing is, people say, we have a lot going for themselves when it comes to you have an amazing job, you dress well, you're good and all of that. But it's a factor when you do not have a man in your life. Let's look at the other side. We're Africans. That is like a complementary package that comes with womanhood. Marriage is very important. And then I don't think for many people will say, let's remove our faces from it. It doesn't really matter. But sometimes a woman's attitude can drive some very prominent individuals away, and they're leading pressures on family members to be concerned to that individual. Don't you think so? Most women have very bad attitude. I'm a woman, and that's the truth. And I know how some of my gender, I know how they behave. And because some of them have bad attitudes, and that is why it leads to where they are today. I'm just saying, I beg for you to differ. It just happens. But at the same time, we understand that a man complements a woman. And that is the truth. Like from my religion, it says the man is like the crown the woman wears on her head. So for the fact that we want to keep busy and all of that, that should actually be something that you should ponder and think about.
Yes, I completely agree with you. Marriage is honorable. Marriage is a beautiful thing. Even the Bible commands it. And marriage is the first point of call to any society.
Exactly.
For any society, for us to even have a society, it starts from marriage. It's a prototype of where we are, what we have been. And we've been called to multiply as well. So no doubt, marriage is beautiful and it's something you need to ponder on. But what I'm saying is, marriage should not make you depressed.
No.
Marriage, the thought of marriage should not be one that would make you, want to commit suicide. We've seen people who've come of age, and they get heartbroken and they commit suicide and they die. They kill themselves because they've been heartbroken and they feel like, okay, where do I turn to? I'm so and so age now, and I'm not married, and now this person I've put all my hopes in is breaking my heart at this dire moment, at this point in time. How do I begin? Where do I go from? That's the problem. It's reasonable that people begin to ask certain questions once you've come of certain age, and you're doing well for yourself, and and sometimes those questions could be genuine questions out of concern, because they assume that, you know, they're just looking out for you, you know. And so that's why it's important to have emotional intelligence. And people who, you know, have these sort of singles in their spaces and in their lives should also be emotionally intelligent as to how they go about asking people when they're going to get married, when they're going to eat rice. I understand that it's from a place of love.
Did you just say when they're going to eat rice?
Yes, that's the easiest and the funniest form of, you know, telling the person that, you know, when are we going
clock
to,
is ticking.
yeah, the clock is ticking and all that. And so you see people, because of that timeline that he said, you know, they begin to get depressed and they do everything, you know. So it's better you wait. It's better to be single, I'll always say this, than to be in the wrong marriage.
Very true.
You're single and you're purposeful. You're single and you're doing what you love. You're single and you are living not just for yourself but for humanity. You're doing something reasonable. You're making impact.
Very true.
Wait, and you're doing everything possible. Hold on, hang in there. The right person will come at the right time. And now the pressure, where it gets really bad now, is the pressure makes a lot of people to get into the wrong marriages. They get into abusive marriages. Abusive marriages, you marry, okay, you've been single for the longest time possible, and you marry, and in 3 months you're out of that marriage. Of what use? You know, you just want to have the rings on your finger for 3 months and it's done. It's even as bad as 1 week. People get married and in 1 week they are done. They can't, you know, they can't go, they can't cope. Why? It's because the pressure. They didn't take their time to, you know, watch this person, look for patterns, look for traits that they're sure they cannot cohabit with or they cannot live with on the long run. Okay, let me satisfy my aunties and my uncles who have been asking for
my parents.
And yes, and all that. So the pressure beclouds judgment. Now, let me just go into some of the things that pressure will do to a young person. Pressure would make you get it wrong. Pressure will make you desperate. And desperation will put you in the wrong hands. Because when you are desperate, you cannot see signs. When a person is coming to deceive you, you will not see a deceiver on his forehead. His intention is to deceive you. And in deceiving you, he doesn't want you to know.
And most men are good at that.
Yeah, very good at that. So you have to take your time. And you must not allow pressure becloud your sense of judgment. Because once pressure beclouds your sense of judgment, you will become desperate. Okay. And like I said, and I'm sure you know that men can smell desperation. And so they will pretend. And because you're desperate, you cannot.
You know what, Queen. Let me say something, because I'm not just gonna. I want to stay on the fence.
You want to stay on the fence.
Yes, and for the fact that some men too are desperate when it comes to marriage. Someone once told me, and he said, when a man is ready for marriage, when his eyes are on the ball, ready for marriage, ready to get married, there is nothing that you will say to him. His mind is made up. So even when a girl pretends to be, oh, nice, I know how to cook, oh, he doesn't even look at the flaws. He rushes into marriage. I think it's versa vis. It's not just the women that are heartbroken. Sometimes it's the man.
The man. Yes,
the man goes through all of these things because once he wants to get married, because age is not on his side, he wants to have kids as quickly as possible. I think it's versa vis. But sometimes, what happens when age is not on the side of the male or the female? Don't you think they say when the desirable is not made available, the available is made the desirable? So what's your take on that, Queen?
So my take on it is, like you said, it's vice versa. While the men want to get married because age is not on their side, I mean, nobody wants to be a grandpa going for inter-house sports, you know, having kids in your 60s. So everybody wants to get married in time so that, you know, they can, you know, it's a beautiful thing. And I'm an advocate as well for early marriage, as long as it's right with the right person and you've done your due diligence. So it's a two-way thing, like you said. The man is desperate to get married and he wants to get married. He's not looking at the flaws. And in the long run, when you don't look at those flaws, you're not taking your time. Sometimes they may be lucky, they get into the marriage. If you have a partner who is, you know, on the same level with you in terms of reasoning, you people can work out your differences. What if you
don't have a partner who doesn't have the same level as
That's what I'm
reasoning?
saying now. People are not always lucky.
True.
Your vibration, your frequency is different from that of your partner. Nobody is willing to make compromise or listen to you. They're always at loggerheads. That's why we have a lot of marriages on social media now. Everything the man does, the woman is filming so that she can put on social media, and you know they're not on the same level. There's no emotional intelligence, you know, just because two people decided to rush into marriage. Now let's not even talk about the damages that pressure from the society has caused in marriages. I know someone who got married because of pressure. Time was no longer on her side. She was in her 30s.
30s, you say? That's
yes,
too young.
for her. Yeah, for her. She says, and then she got married, and she got married not looking at a genotype. Overlooking it, not looking at her genotype, she overlooked it. And then the same person she was getting married to was same genotype with her. They were both AS, and then they got married. And believe me, that marriage hit the rock too soon. And they had to go their separate ways because, of course, because they were not compatible.
True.
And it brought issues, it raised issues. So even if there were no issues before, aside from the genotype issues, there will be issues in marriage. It will be a cause for concern, and and all of that. So I think people should take their time. It's important. I want us to look at how to address these pressures. Can come. They will come, and the question now will, okay, even if you're not willing to give into it, how do we begin to address? Because sometimes these aunties and uncles can come really direct and embarrassing,
especially when you're in a relationship that the guy has not said, will you marry me?
Yeah.
So how do you handle that? You've been caught but looking at it though, Queen, I really need to ask this question. How long do you think you should court or be in a relationship with someone before he says, I want to marry you? Really, being single and all of that, how long? Should I court you 2 years before I know that, hey, I'm ready? Or should I court 3 years? Or should I court 6 years with you before I know that, hey, he's not talking about marriage and we are in a relationship?
Yeah.
I've seen people that have been in a relationship 5 years and the guy is not saying anything.
Yeah.
And the girl is desperate. Are you kidding me right now?
If you're in such a relationship where the person is not saying anything, the best thing to do is to ask. It doesn't mean you're desperate.
It doesn't mean like you're going to chip in yourself.
You're not chipping yourself. Now, you see this generation we're in now. I'm beginning to sound like an older person.
True. Interesting. I'm just watching and looking, okay?
I'm beginning to sound like an older person. I'm not that old, but because of the books I read, I watch movies,
Very
and
important.
from experiences, I sit with a lot of older people. And so, but the truth is, we're in a generation where people are sleeping with themselves and they cannot ask questions as, where are we heading? You are in a relationship with somebody for 5 years, you're sleeping with that person, and you cannot open your mouth and ask the person when the person is going to make a commitment. It just doesn't make sense. The desperation there is you already sleeping with this person before the person has made any commitment with you. I don't know if you get it. So why it makes sense is you're in a relationship, but there's no sex involved. Because if there's sex involved in that relationship, I'm always an advocate for you being in a relationship where you can walk out at any point in time. But when sex is involved in that relationship, you're already tied. Yes, emotions are involved. You're entangled with this person, and so it's a bit difficult. You feel like I've given this person my body. This person has seen me,
Aside that, sometimes it's not all about that.
No.
Time has been invested in this.
Exactly.
I have given you time.
Exactly. Now, this is what I'm saying now. You're in a relationship with this person, and you're already intimate with this person. Take, for instance, 3 months. You cannot, it's going to be difficult to walk out of that relationship because now so much time has not been invested, but something more than time has been invested in that relationship. And so you're willing, you're hoping, you're like, okay, I'm already intimate with this person. You're hoping, this is where the hope lingers until it gets to say.
And don't you think that is where, I beg to differ.
Okay.
And don't you think that's where the desperation comes in? 3 months, are you kidding me?
That's what I'm saying.
You don't even know him. You don't even know the red flags.
We are in a place where people sleep with people they meet today.
I know.
But
okay, maybe call me old school or old fashioned, but really, I think if you're really sincere, I'm just saying, someone you want to spend the rest of, I tell people I counsel and I say, a man who sees you, a woman, a man knows whether he's going to marry you or not. Deep down, he knows. If you're just going to be a fling or you're going to be someone that he's just going, he knows. He knows. I'm telling you. He knows whether this is his bone of his bone, the woman that's going to bear his surname, the mother. He knows. And that is why, as a woman, I always say, you have to be very sensitive. You cannot be using your heart all the time.
Exactly.
You have to use your head. It's very important. If this is the person, as a woman, you will know. I tell people, Why would you be in a relationship with someone and you can close your eyes and you don't see this man in a house with you? You don't see kids running around. Why would you want to waste that precious time with someone that you do not see the future with? That's one of the things that causes all this pressure. You're with somebody you don't even think, or when they ask you, do you think he's going to marry? You say, when you say, there's no certainty in that.
Exactly.
It means that you are not sure. And that's where pressure comes in from parents, relations, friends, family, and society. When you close your eyes and you say to yourself, this is the person I want to spend the rest of my life with, and then when pressure comes and say, when are you guys getting married? You have an answer. We're looking at end of the year. We're looking at 3 months from now. Pressures do not come. But when you are on serious, when you give yourself, you say we're in a generation where people can be intimate today, now. But the truth is,
it shows desperation as well.
But the truth is, funny enough, called me old-fashioned. I think the old-fashioned way, compared to where our parents are.
What's the old-fashioned way? That's the question we should be asking. What is the
when a girl says, I want to get to know you, when a girl says, let's go out, let me know you, I want to know you as a person, I want us to be friends, let's be friends before we can take it to the next level. Not the one that's... But I think there has to be a part 2 of this particular... we're going to be talking about this, and of course I will be talking to someone who is married, and let's see how that goes. I've spoken to Queen. Queen is, close to that. Close, right, Queen?
Yeah, close to that.
All right, this is the part where I have to wrap it up on the program Inside Today. Of course, there will be part 2, by the grace of God, on Wednesday. We'll be talking about these desperations when it comes to prepare what society has done when it comes to marriage. But at the same time, let's just understand something very, very important. Now, societal pressure in marriage or in a relationship is a complex impact which impacts individuals and relationship. It stems from culture, norms, traditions, and expectations, influencing how people perceive and navigate what marriage is all about. Now, understanding these pressures and finding healthy ways to address and manage them is crucial for maintaining a strong and fulfilling relationship that can lead to a healthy marriage. Now, by communicating openly, setting boundaries, and prioritizing individual and mutual well-being. Now, couples can navigate societal pressures effectively and build a resilient and harmonious relationship. Thank you all so much for being a part of Inside Today. Queen Agaba.
It's a pleasure being here. We need to have a part 2 of this
We need to have a part 2 of this conversation. Thank you so much for being a part of Inside Today. I am Jumai Manzin. Thank you all so much for being there. Have an amazing day ahead. Bye-bye.